Thank you very much for your patience. This is, as you will have gathered, this is far more complex than appears on the surface. We believe that we now have, we're almost at a formal wording that we think that colleagues may be able to support. However, I would draw your attention to the linkages between this item and the following item. I will also draw your attention that the following item has an exempt appendix. But can I, given that the two decisions are linked, and we'll explain why they're linked in a minute, and why there are consequences as to whatever decision we take for the Rosewell over the contractual paper that is coming next. Can I invite Neil Stevenson to explain what the linkage is, what the consequences are, and what happens if we do or we don't? Sorry, it's not a very technical way, but
thank you. Yeah, that's fine. I have Catherine with me, and Vicky will jump in at any point to support me here. The plan was to go to tender to get the service to step up and to support the stepping down and to ensure that all the clients' needs were met, etc., and to ensure the delayed discharge was held and all that. You've seen that in the paper. If we delay this decision, the consequences will be certainly the timeline. For every week, every month that we delay, and that pushes us past through the winter time. We had hoped to start the tender, the new service, on the 21st of August, with a view to getting that up and running in the first 6 months to cover the winter surge and to ensure safety of our clients. Obviously, the question of associated costs here has come up, and the costs wouldn't change in terms of the tender. They are what they are. What I can say in terms of hopefully offering you some assurance around the tender, if we do proceed, is that there will be 6-month break clauses from the day the contract is signed. Now, that all sounds great that we can do that, but of course, it would be a huge reputational risk for the IJB of putting a provider in place and then stopping after 6 months when recruited staff, etc. Other than that, I think I guess I'm concerned with what I've seen in terms of the caveats to the recommendations on paper 9.1. I'm going to say, because that would mean a risk to us. I don't feel secure that we can go out to tender based on that wording. And I'm looking at Vicky desperately, hoping I've covered everything. And if not, please jump in.
No, I think Neil's flagged with this to say the risks that are involved with the next paper, if the recommendations in terms of the timescale, the phasing aren't remain as they currently are. And I think that's kind of set out of that would have not just in terms of timescale, but the actual contracts itself. I don't feel we can enter into it as it is.
May I add one more thing?
Yep.
But more on a personal level, perhaps. A number of years ago, probably 6-7 years ago, Aberdeen City Council, the partnership, we totally transformed what we did with care at home services. Huge risk. I remember similar conversations about how difficult that was going to be, what challenge was going to be, what risk it was going to be. And here we are 6 years later, where we've got an absolutely terrific service, maybe one of the best care and support at home services in the country. It's worked an absolute treat, and we rely on it significantly now. Despite that risk, we took that risk, and down the line, it's been great. Just to add to what David was saying earlier about risks and making that clean.
bear with me just for 30 seconds if you would. As I said, we do have a form of words which we now think is a compromise that we hope everybody can buy into. I fully accept the reservation, but I don't think anybody is agreeing that this is an ideal situation. I think we all wish that we had the time, we had the resources, we had the assets to do things in a way which was slightly different. Can I ask if Emma could circulate this, because I think it's important everybody sees the wording. Given that we've added additional recommendations, we're keeping in the points around assurance, we're keeping in the discussions with neighbouring boards, we are keeping in the site of the mitigation plan, so that we try and build in as much scrutiny and as much assurance as we can do that what we're doing is going to mitigate the impacts for those that are affected. But we have tweaked the wording around the actual going ahead with the proposal itself in line with the risks that Neil has articulated. So if I give us just a few minutes just to read that wording, and we'll see.
David, have you been able to read it? You've got your hand up.
I'm able to read it. Thank you, Fiona. My hand was raised following Neil's comments that I wanted to come in.
Thank you.
And that is, if I may, that I don't wish to be held hostage to a tender process. I'm simply trying to ensure the best welfare for our citizens, and I wasn't convinced by the transition phase in the proposal. And if we risk running out of time because of the tender process and so on that was just described, then I would say the paper should have come sooner to the IJB. In terms of the text, there's still no exit clause. Reporting back to the IGB with sufficient insurance in respect to the mitigation plan. Still no exit clause to stop the phased withdrawal of beds. I see no wording to that effect. Thank you.
Just need to have that proper basis. What do you want to cover? Yeah, recommendations. Okay, thank you. That'd be great now, thank you.
It's good to. Okay, I'm also mindful, colleagues, of where we are. We have now been running for near on 4 hours.
Exactly.
Officers are keen to come back with good financial implications of this, because I'm getting the sense that we need a more concrete understanding as to what the implications. This decision does have to be made today. And I'm therefore proposing that we give everyone a chance to have a well-earned lunch break, and that we come back at 2:45 to give officers a chance to consult. Amy's still online. We need to get the financial implications of this. And let's come back to this in terms of a decision once we've all slightly refreshed ourselves. If we can adjourn until 2:45.